doesn't actually go by her real name. So I use the name that she's chosen for herself, which I assume means that she wants to be a totally funny girl who is as innocent as Granny Apple Pie. She has big eyes and perfectly straight teeth to be jealous of. For example, this is the example that Urban Dictionary gave. Hiya, I'm Leia. Yippity-doo-dah. Please welcome Leia to Oliveira.
Yeah, girl.
God, it's so far away. Why did I do that? Jokes, 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 jokes. Jokes are jokes, jokes. Jokes are jokes, jokes. Sorry, that was some Portuguese. I'm originally from Brazil. I'm sorry that I'm not sexier. I apologize. It went wrong somewhere. I don't really know. It goofed up. That's why they kicked me out like immediately. It was bad. But I do love beaches. I'm a sucker for beaches. And the beaches in New York are not real beaches. Can I just say that right now? No. Now that that's over. I love beaches mostly because I'm super lazy. Like, you know how like people waste time, they're like, oh, I spent like 2 hours on Facebook, or like, I was talking to my friend for 3 hours. I like take 4-hour naps, like regularly. And like people get mad at me, like if I sleep in the hallway or something, people are like, this is a hallway, you can't sleep here. The building closed 5 hours ago. This is a security breach. But like, but suddenly, if I'm surrounded by sand and water, I can be half naked, laying in the sand for like days on end, and no one will say anything. It's amazing. It's the best thing ever. But I am terribly lazy. I love getting out of doing things on a regular basis. My whole family is very good at not doing things. We all have different strategies for getting out of stuff. I'm not going to tell you mine, because I would rather keep using it forever. But I will tell you the rest of my family's because, this is my chance. You gave me a microphone. That was your first mistake. So my dad has a great one that I like calling Pass It On. Yes, I gave them all titles. So he does this thing where, like, scenario, my mother's in the kitchen, she's like, oh, honey, could you please wash the dishes? And he'll be like, sure. Except it'd be nothing like that because it'd be in Portuguese, but bear with me. And then my mother will leave the room, and he'll come over to like me and my sister, which in this scenario, let's say we're like 6 and 8. And he'll come up to us and be like, girls, it would just mean the world to your mother if you would just wash the dishes for her. She's been having such a hard day, and like, she might be a little grumpy, but if you wash the dishes for her, everything will be okay again. So like when you're 6 and 8 years old, there's like nothing scarier than your mother being angry at you. So of course we did it, and it worked for years. Like it worked for a ridiculously long time. And I mean, it still works on some days, I'm not gonna lie. And my sister's technique took us longer to figure out. It's absolutely ridiculous, but the weird part is that it actually works. She does a thing that I like to call the caveman. Yes, I also gave that one a title. You thought I'd forgotten, but no. So she does this thing where you'll ask her to do something that, seems rational, seems like a good thing to do, and she will just have very specific memory loss. So you'll go to her and you'll be like, hey, we have some guests over. Could you make some coffee for us? And then this is when it happens. She just looks you right in the face. She's like, I don't know what coffee is. Where's the coffee machine? I don't know what beans are. Oh my god. And then she'll run away. And it works. Because like you feel like, oh my god, did I somehow cause like amnesia, like coffee amnesia in my sister? What did I do wrong? And then you just blame yourself for like the next 2 hours and eventually end up making coffee. It's terrifying. But and it just makes me worry about her future because she's a very smart girl. She graduated Oxford. So like she's going places, but that worries me because she keeps this strategy. Let's say like she's like a nurse, the person who hands tools to a doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, could you please pass me the scalpel? And she's like, what surgery, medicine? Oh, I don't know what tools are. And she just runs out of the room. Somebody dies. very good habit to, foster in myself, but, it would mean the world to everyone in this room if you would just finish my set for me. World hunger would end. Like, you don't understand. Like, it would make me, your mother would be so mad. I tried. I do have other material. You'll be glad to know. So, if you can't tell from I'm going to trip on this at some point. From the material of my set, I spent the break with my family. We're originally from Brazil, but now we live in the lovely hamlet of Hartsdale, which is in Westchester. Yeah. Don't pretend you're impressed by Hartsdale. But if you know anything about Westchester, you know that everyone always recognizes it for Scarsdale. And Westchester is the place where the fictional X-Men headquarters is. And it's also where, don't tempt me, but it's also where Monica and Chandler move at the end of Friends, which I think is no coincidence. That is for another time. But Hartsdale is what I like to call the ugly cousin of Scarsdale. We're famous for 3 things. 1, not being in Scarsdale. 2, Asian immigrants. And 3, New York's oldest pet cemetery. Yes, very proud of that one. And I always drive by it because it's a shortcut to my house. So one day I was driving. I wasn't walking, come on. I was driving past the cemetery with my mother, and we see a woman walking her dog into the cemetery, and my mother, being the sweet woman she is, like, oh, nice, like, they must be visiting, like, his dead, like, doggy friend, or, like, his doggy brother. It's so nice that she's taking him to the cemetery. And I'm like, that's not what happened. No. What's happening here is it's discipline. She's taking... she's taking her dog to the cemetery, and she's walking him right up to the tombstone. She's like, see Spot here? What do you think he did to end up here? He disobeyed his owner. You pee on the carpet one more goddamn time! You will be 6 feet under the Spot. It's weird my mom thought it was something so nice, because this is exactly what she did to get my sister to stop peeing on the carpet. But I did spend the whole set at home, and I was like thinking about this because I knew this was going to happen. I did not just write this. Maybe. So I was, talking with my family, and I was like, okay, let's think about things that I think are funny. Like, what do I like when comedians do things? Like, what makes me laugh? So I was thinking about comedians have this great thing where, like, you thought for your entire life that you were, like, the only one person who did this thing, and you were so ashamed of it. And then a comedian went up and it's like, isn't it hilarious when this happens? And everybody, like, bonds over how they all thought they were the only one. That whole thing. It feels very, you feel connected. So I was like, oh, let's do that. That can't be so hard. So then I ran into a problem when I was like, how do I know what everybody does but doesn't talk about? So I decided to just test some things out. You guys tell me if you've had these experiences. Okay, you ready? Sometimes my pee smells like popcorn. So, I have a crazy haircut. Pretty wild haircut, it's adventurous, whatever. But I did realize I saw a couple of white hairs. And you can say that I'm getting older, but I prefer to think of it as slowly going platinum blonde. It's more of a slower process. Jokes. That was Portuguese for thank you for having me. Have a great night.